Hey y'all, it's Valerie here, and this evening's chore, well, the thing that I'm going to work on right now is getting these plants that I bought from the nursery in the ground. I think I showed you on another video. I already got this truffle of pink gomphrena and this superbena peachy keen in the ground. So I'm going to put this Dusty Miller, this lobelia, and this dichondra right here. Oh yeah, I forgot this little sedum here. This is Little Glow sedum. I don't know if you can see that tag. So I got that Little Glow sedum here, and then I put that Dusty Miller in a little cluster there, and that Dusty Miller in a little cluster there, the lobelia there, and the dichondra there. And I just think that that purple and that white are just going to be so beautiful together once it fills in and bushes out a little bit. Is there only two of them there? Yeah, the silver mound and that, what's it called again? Maury strain beach wormwood artemisia. I'm going to take this tag too because it's a perennial. Yeah, I have a little tag I keep on my, I have a little book I keep all my tags in for perennials. Because if I leave them out here, they'll crack and they'll break. But if I take them inside, I can match the plant to the tag. Now hopefully we get that rain tomorrow that they're speaking of, so that way all this stuff gets watered in even better. And today I'm going to be putting the persimmon trees I got at a festival, at a music festival, into some big pots. I have these two pots here. This one is full of mulch, and this was my dumping pot for soil. I temporarily put this iris in here until I could get it moved to where it's going. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is take this iris and plant it. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to take probably about half of this mulch out and move it over there where I just weeded and top it off with some compost. And then I'll plant my persimmon trees. I'm in this field here by these big long beds, and as you can see, I've got some beautiful nasturtiums starting to pop out here. Just weeded this bed, but it could use another round. Anyways, I'm beside these beds and I have this little cluster of irises here, and I'm just going to add these two to it. Okay, you don't bury your irises too deep. They don't like to be very deep. They like to be near the surface of the hole. Alright, I have that buried, and these will just incorporate with this other clump here eventually. They'll all grow together. Or who knows, I may end up moving them all someday. Regardless, it's in the ground, and I will let the rain water it in. So I have my wheelbarrow full of compost. The first order of business is to take some of this mulch out and move it, like I said, to the area I just weeded. And then I'm going to try to wiggle these pots in place where I want them before I top them off with compost and plant those trees. Good amount of that out. I'm going to fill it up with compost and plant that tree. It's very little, so by the time it grows down to where the sawdust and pine needles are, that'll be decomposing even more. And plus, I will top off with fresh compost and soil as needed. And I've got a bunch of stuff in the way, but I'm wanting to set one of my pots right here by my gate, and the other one where that bowl is. And then that's where I'll plant the persimmon trees. Let's move this bowl. I have one there and one there. I'm going to get my trees here. So I'm just going to take my shovel and dig a hole. There's that one planted. And we're just going to do the same thing in this one. I'm going to let these grow in these pots for the next at least a year. I probably won't get them in the ground until next summer at the earliest, or next spring, I should say. Early spring, late winter. But there's a chance that I won't get them in till fall or even later. But for now, I'm going to let them grow here for at least a year or two. Today I'm going to go dig up a few plants that I want to give to a couple people and up-pot a few things and maybe even get a couple of those things planted. But the stuff that I'm potting today are things that I want to give to people, so I'm going to work on that first. The first thing is some of that mandarina lemon balm. I want to get some of it dug up and planted. And then I've got a pink dandelion and a white dandelion I want to dig up and try to get potted up. I know that they have that taproot and they might not transplant well, but I'm going to try it anyways. And I would like to these things to have time to recover from the transplant shock before I give them to the people that they are going to. So I'm going to do it now and then put them in the pots and let them recover. One of the things is this lime balm here. It is both outgrowing its container and it's got a weed in it. So I want to plant some of this in my landscape. Maybe even cut it back because it's grown really tall. But I want to put some of it in a pot and some of it in my landscape. So basically I'll be getting rid of some of it and planting some of it. Okay, this one right here is a voodoo bulb. And I know that these grow a bunch of little bulbs around the mother bulb. So I might dig down in here and see if I can't find some to pot up, because the person who gave me this bulb, I would like to give her one of these ones. I'm going to grab a few pots in my hori tool. Most of them I will put in these size pots. But I am going to put that voodoo lily in one of these size pots because I think it would do better in something a little bigger. So I'm going to put it in that pot there. Grab a couple more of these in case I need them. I am not sitting in my greenhouse to do this because it is so hot in here. Now we're going to go up to the top behind my house where my mandarina lemon balm is planted and dig some of that up. Over across the field is where my other garden is that we usually go to, where I have tomatoes and corn and that kind of stuff, peppers planted. But this is where this lemon balm is. I'm going to go to the base here and just find like a little section of stem to dig up. Alright, that was harder to pull out than I expected it to be. It's really rooted in there. But I got two pieces. which is fine. I've got 2 people I want to give it to, and they do have some root on there. Next, I'm going to go dig up the pink dandelion and the white dandelion, and then I will start potting up. Dandelion right here is one of the Japanese whites, so I'm going to attempt to dig it up. I broke it. It does have a decent amount of that root on it, but I broke it, so we'll see if it even survives. That's part of the reason I'm going ahead and potting it up, is because I have a few weeks before I'll see the person that they're going to again, and I want to make sure that it's going to survive before I give it to them. I want to give it time to pot in, or to root in, and acclimate to its new environment, and hopefully it survives. Over here in this bed in front of my house where I let all the calendula volunteer, in the very front I have a couple of pink dandelions. I'm going to just dig one of these up, probably this one right here. I think I'm going to dig this one up, and that'll be the one. I got much more of this root than I got of the other one, but honestly that other one seemed to be impeded by stone. So I have a feeling that this one has a better chance of survival. So I winter sowed this lime balm, and it looks like I'm going to have a ton of it. So I may pot up the extras to either sell or trade, or to just give away. I do want some of it in my landscape, and I've got a couple plants that I want to give to a couple friends. But other than that, this really hasn't been earmarked for anything, so I'll just pot it up, and then we'll see where we're at after that. Alright, there they all are potted up. I ended up with 7 lime balms to share, and 1 right here that I'm going to put in my own garden. So let's go do that now. This is going to be back here with all the rest of my herbs, this lime balm. I have pineapple mint, oregano, various other herbs, other mints, bee balm. So I'm going to put this lime balm right back here in this area where I dumped that mulch out of that pot. I did bring this little pot of compost to help backfill with. I always like to put some compost in the hole with my plants, as long as I have finished compost. I don't put hot compost in the hole, but finished compost I will put in the hole with my plant every single time if I have it. I do that and a mixture of the native soil. Alright, there's that lime balm. It can be here to kind of help take over this area, along with the mountain mint and the plethora of other stuff I have back here that are herbs. Now I have this voodoo lily. I'm going to dump the pot out onto this bag and try to wrangle some bulbs from it, and then replant it and top it off with some of that fresh compost. Alright, as you can see, I've got this little bulb here that came out of the soil. I'm going to try to find a couple more little babies if I can. Alright, I have another one right here, so that's 2. Alright, I have another little bulb here, so that's 3. I think that I'm going to look and see if I have a bigger pot to put this back in so it has some room to grow. Okay, so I got those things potted up, and they've been kind of weighing on me for a while, especially that lime balm because it was still in a jug from winter sowing. I still have a few things left that I winter sowed that need to get in the ground. I may work on them later this evening, but for now I'm going to go inside and cool down because even though it's a really mild day, that sun is hot and intense. I have some hydrangeas and rose bushes beside my greenhouse that are just covered in weeds, and I went out yesterday with my little pruner thingies and started chopping away at those weeds, and then I remembered that I have these tools that I got at an auction, and I don't know if they're even still available. One's a Black & Decker. I had 3, but only these 2 work, and you push this button and I'm going to go try them on this area of weeds and see if it makes my life easier or not. Over here is where I'm talking about. And it's just very grown over. But you can see where I started like hacking away at it. I have a hydrangea there and a hydrangea there. There's another one in, there's a couple more in here maybe, and then a couple of roses. So I need to get this all at least weeded around the bushes. And then we can go in with a weed eater and hedge trimmer and get the rest of the stuff. So let's try these things and see if they work. This is not as good as a weed eater. It is going much quicker than the little hand tool I was using. It's really kind of good for when you've let stuff grow over and you need to uncover them from the rest of the weeds so you know where to weed eat. Like it seems to be really good for that. I don't know if the way I worded that makes sense or not, but like I have these overgrown places that I can't just go in with a weed eater. I'm going to cut down plants that I don't want to cut down, and it's good for unearthing those or unbushing those, I guess would probably be a better term. I'm going to look up and see if I can find what is a modern equivalent to these, because I don't even know if these things exist anymore, and honestly I can't tell you how a newer one would work. I do know that some of the stuff with a woodier stem, you kind of have to go, like if you've got it going, you kind of have to go like that with it, and it'll chop through those woody stems. That's the only really tip I have for it so far, and like I said, I don't know how modern ones would work. So far, it is going much quicker, so even though it seems at first like, oh, this isn't going to help too much, it really does. It's better than I thought it was going to be when I first turned it on, because it does move a little slow, but also I think that maybe makes it a little safer. And I'm wondering if I could somehow sharpen these blades. I bet these blades could be sharpened. If they were sharpened a little bit, like I said, I got these at an auction, so I don't know how old they are, how many times they've been used, but if you could sharpen those blades some, it seems like that might help a little bit too. I'm going to get back at it and finish these last few things beside this greenhouse because it's going much quicker than I thought it would, and it's cutting it down enough to where at least these things are going to be out of the shadow and getting some nice, good, strong sun. And ultimately, that's what they need. don't know if I said this already, but I do find it helpful to cut closer to the base of the plant instead of near the top. And it seems to work really well at cutting like dandelions and broadleaf plantain off at the base. Of course, you're not going to get that root out, but if you just need to get it cut down real quick, it does work well for that. Okay guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me this last couple of days. I've been having a hard time getting back to my routines, and just this time of year, after that first initial rush of the summer or spring excitement, I should say, of planting, I always get this like down period right afterwards where I feel slightly depressed because the rush is over and I can kind of just sit back and process. And I know I still have more things to plant, but the initial rush is over and the excitement of the garden just takes a big nosedive. And that's one of the reasons why I appreciate you guys so much coming and hanging out with me, because it does motivate me to fight those blues back on the days where it's not too bad and just get out here anyways, which always lifts my spirits. So I do appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.